Across the U.S. are mourning the loss of a Jacksonville rapper. That's our top story tonight. Thank you for staying up with us. I'm Anthony Austin.
February 18th, 2026, 11:23 a.m. That's when we lost one of the realest voices in hip-hop. Lil Poppas, just 26 years old, found dead in a Hilton hotel parking lot in Georgia with a gunshot wound to the head.
I won't give a TIP Thug and Peace to Lil Poppas, man.
But here's what's crazy. Just hours before, he posted Rod Wave lyrics that said, "You know what happened, I know what happened, world never will." The Fulton County medical examiner confirmed it was suicide. And now, for the first time, Yo Gotti is breaking his silence about losing his CMG golden boy.
Lil Poppas was more than just a rapper. He was a hometown dream turned reality. At just 25 years old, he built a powerful voice for himself in the music industry.
This ain't just another tragic story, gang. This is about a young king who survived a drive-by that killed his two best friends, built an empire from pain, but couldn't survive the war in his own mind. Lil Poppas wasn't just another rapper, homie. This was Yo Gotti's prize signing from Jacksonville, a dude who turned his trauma into chart-topping hits and his pain into platinum plaques. CMG invested heavy in this shorty, rolling up to Jacksonville with a fleet of Rolls-Royce Cullinans just to welcome him to the team. We're talking about an artist who went from recording in his bedroom closet to charting on Billboard 200, from surviving shootings to selling out venues. But behind all that success was a young man battling sickle cell anemia, survivor's guilt, and demons that most of us can't even imagine. The same trauma that made his music so authentic and powerful is what eventually took him away from us. To understand how we got here and why Yo Gotti is finally speaking out, we gotta go back to where it all started. A 7-year-old kid in Jacksonville with a dream, a microphone, and a whole lot of pain that would shape hip-hop forever. Let's rewind to 2003 when Lil Poppas was just 7 years old. Back then, his real name was Janarius Wheeler, and he was writing raps for his church in Jacksonville, Florida. Yeah, you heard that right. This future street rap legend started in the house of God, spitting bars about faith and hope. His mama gave him the nickname Papa as a little kid, and he added Lil because he was always hanging around older kids trying to keep up with the big homies. Jacksonville in the early 2000s was no joke, fam. The city was dealing with high crime rates, poverty, and a music scene that was still trying to find its voice. While cities like Atlanta and Miami were dominating the South, Jacksonville was the underdog, and young Poppas was growing up right in the middle of all that struggle. By age 12, Shorty was already on that timing. He built a makeshift studio in his closet with nothing but a laptop and a basic microphone he probably got from Best Buy. No fancy equipment, no big budget, no industry connections, just raw talent and determination. He started transitioning from religious raps to street music, and you could already hear that pain in his voice that would later make him famous. But here's where it gets real. Jacksonville's North Side was calling, and young Poppas was caught between his music dreams and the harsh reality of his environment. The same streets that would later inspire his biggest hits were also the streets that would traumatize him for life. He was building his sound on SoundCloud and My Mixtapes, grinding independently while watching his city tear itself apart with violence that seemed never-ending. During his teenage years, Poppas was developing that melodic trap sound that would eventually catch Yo Gotti's attention. He wasn't just rapping, he was singing his pain, blending street narratives with emotional vulnerability that most rappers were scared to show. This was before pain rap became mainstream, before artists like Rod Wave and Polo G made it cool to cry on tracks. Fast forward to 2018, Poppas 18 years old and about to experience something that would change his life forever. On one tragic day that started like any other, him and his two closest friends got caught in a drive-by shooting in Jacksonville. The type of senseless violence that happens too often in our communities, for real. But here's where it gets crazy. Poppas survived, but his two best friends didn't make it. Imagine being 18 and watching your day ones get taken right in front of you. We're talking about kids he grew up with, probably knew since elementary school, dudes who were there when he was recording those first tracks in his closet. That's some trauma that most people never recover from, the type of survivor's guilt that eats you alive from the inside. But instead of letting it destroy him completely, Poppas channeled that pain into his music in a way that was both therapeutic and revolutionary. That same year, he dropped Purple Hearts, a song that detailed everything about that shooting. The raw emotion, the survivor's guilt, the pain of losing his brothers, the confusion of why he made it when they didn't. It was all there, laid bare over a haunting melody that stuck with you for days, and the streets felt that shit immediately, no cap. The song went viral on SoundCloud, then spread to YouTube, Instagram, and everywhere else. Suddenly everyone was talking about this young king from Jacksonville who could turn his trauma into art without glorifying the violence. He wasn't celebrating the shooting, he was mourning it, processing it, trying to make sense of senseless loss. According to industry insiders who were watching the underground scene, Purple Hearts was different from anything else coming out at the time. It wasn't just street rap, it was pain rap with a melodic twist that hit different. The production was simple but effective, letting Poppas' vocals carry the emotional weight. The song later appeared on his Under Investigation mixtape, which became the foundation of everything that followed. But that's not even the crazy part. While Poppa was building his buzz and dealing with the trauma of losing his friends, he was also battling something else that most people didn't know about: sickle cell anemia. This is a genetic blood disorder that causes severe pain crises, organ damage, and a whole host of complications. Poppa had been dealing with this his entire life, but he kept it private because he didn't want people to see him as weak or different. The sickle cell meant he'd be on and off with his music career because of the debilitating pain episodes. Sometimes he'd be in the studio working on the next hit, and other times he'd be in the hospital fighting for his life. But he never let it stop him completely. If anything, it added another layer to his pain that came through in his music. Between 2018 and 2019, Poppa was consistently dropping music that showcased his growth as an artist. The Under Investigation series became his calling card, with each installment showing more maturity, better production, and deeper storytelling. He was building a loyal fan base that connected with his authenticity and vulnerability. Now let me break down how Yo Gotti discovered this young talent, because this story is wild, gang. Between 2017 and 2019, Poppa was building serious underground buzz in Jacksonville and beyond. His Under Investigation mixtape series was gaining traction on streaming platforms, and his authentic storytelling was catching the attention of major labels, A&Rs, and industry executives who were always looking for the next big thing. The music industry was changing during this time. Streaming had democratized the game, meaning artists didn't need major label backing to reach millions of listeners. Poppa was proof of this. He was getting hundreds of thousands of plays on SoundCloud and YouTube without any traditional industry support. His comment sections were filled with fans from all over the country relating to his pain and praising his honesty. In early 2020, that momentum led to a deal with Interscope Records, one of the biggest labels in the game. This was huge for a kid from Jacksonville who started in his bedroom closet. Interscope saw the potential in Poppa's melodic pain rap style and his ability to connect with listeners on an emotional level. Poppa released his debut studio album, Blessed I Guess, in 2021, and that joint charted at number 160 on the Billboard 200. The title itself was telling. Blessed, I Guess, suggested he was grateful for his success, but still struggling with the trauma and pain that got him there. The album featured collaborations with established artists and showcased Poppa's range as both a rapper and singer. But here's where Yo Gotti comes into the picture, and this is where the story gets really interesting. Gotti was in expansion mode with CMG, looking beyond Memphis for authentic voices from other regions. He already had Mozzie from Sacramento bringing that West Coast pain rap, ESTG from Louisville representing Kentucky, and 42 Doug from Detroit holding down the Midwest. But he needed that Florida presence, and Poppa's Under Investigation series showed the consistency and growth that caught Gotti's attention. According to sources close to CMG who spoke on condition of anonymity, Yo Gotti was personally listening to Poppa's music and studying his trajectory. Gotti wasn't just looking at streaming numbers, he was looking at the quality of the fan base, the authenticity of the artist, and the potential for long-term growth. Poppa checked all those boxes. Gotti saw something special in Poppa's melodic pain rap style that went beyond just commercial potential. It fit perfectly with what CMG was building, that emotional street rap that artists like Moneybagg Yo were known for, but Poppa brought something different to the table. That vulnerability and raw storytelling that you can't fake, the type of authenticity that builds generational fan bases. The negotiations reportedly took months, with multiple meetings and conversations about Poppa's vision for his career. This wasn't just about money, it was about finding the right home for an artist who had already proven he could succeed independently. CMG offered not just a record deal, but a partnership that would give Poppa access to their entire infrastructure while maintaining his creative control. On April 20th, 2022, Yo Gotti made it official. He took to Twitter and announced, "It's official, Lil Poppa. Welcome to the team we continuing to build and invest back into doc culture." But Gotti didn't just sign him and call it a day like some labels do. This man showed up to Jacksonville with a fleet of Rolls Royces, including 2 white Cullinans, to personally welcome Papa to the family. That convoy rolling through Jacksonville was a statement, fam. It showed the city that one of their own had made it to the highest level, and it showed the industry that CMG was serious about their investment in Papa.
That Lil Poppas, Jacksonville artist, CMG, Yo Gotti's artist.
The visual of those Rolls Royces in Jacksonville went viral on social media, with fans and other artists congratulating Papa on the major move. That's when you knew this wasn't just a business move. This was Gotti investing in someone he believed in on a personal level. To commemorate the signing, Papa released H-Spot, a collaboration with Yo Gotti that came with a music video. The chemistry was there immediately, with both artists complementing each other's styles perfectly. It looked like this partnership was going to take Papa to the next level and beyond. Under CMG, Papa's career reached new heights that nobody could have predicted when he was recording in that bedroom closet. He had access to CMG's entire infrastructure, stronger distribution through their partnership with Interscope, better marketing support, top-tier producers, and access to collaborations with some of the biggest names in hip-hop. The difference was immediate and obvious. Papa's music videos started getting higher budgets and better production values. His streaming numbers increased dramatically as CMG's marketing machine put its full weight behind promoting his music. He was getting radio play in markets where Jacksonville artists rarely got attention, and his social media following exploded as new fans discovered his catalog. He embarked on multiple 20-city tours that took him all across the country, performing for crowds who knew every word to his songs. These weren't just small club shows. We're talking about legitimate venues with thousands of fans singing along to tracks like Purple Hearts and Eternal Living. For someone who started performing at local Jacksonville venues, this was a dream come true. The collaboration started flowing too. He worked with Youngin Ace, another Jacksonville legend, creating music that represented their city on a national level. His collaboration with Mozzie showed the CMG family chemistry, while his work with Rod Wave demonstrated his ability to hold his own with established superstars. Each collaboration expanded his fan base and showed different sides of his artistry. In August 2025, he released Almost Normal Again, an album that showcased his growth as an artist while staying true to his pain rap roots. The title itself was telling. Almost Normal suggested he was still struggling to find peace after everything he'd been through. The album featured introspective tracks about his journey, his losses, his success, and his ongoing battles with mental health and physical pain. But behind all the success, Papa was still battling those same demons that had haunted him since that 2018 shooting. His music consistently explored mental health, grief, trust issues, and survivor's guilt in ways that were both therapeutic for him and healing for his listeners. Songs like Eternal Living with Polo G dove deep into that survivor's guilt, exploring the complex emotions of making it out when your friends didn't. Love and War explored the emotional weight of carrying trauma while trying to build a successful career and maintain relationships. The sickle cell anemia was also taking its toll in ways that fans didn't fully understand. In his documentary, Blessed I Guess, Papa opened up about living with the inherited blood disorder that had affected his entire life. He became a vocal advocate for sickle cell awareness, using his platform to educate people about a condition that disproportionately affects Black communities. The pain crises were unpredictable and severe. One day he'd be in the studio working on his next hit, and the next day he'd be in the hospital dealing with excruciating pain that most people can't imagine. This affected his ability to maintain a consistent touring and recording schedule, but he never used it as an excuse. If anything, it made him work harder when he was feeling good, knowing that the next crisis could come at any time. In interviews during this period, you could see the weight he was carrying, even as he celebrated his success. He talked about feeling blessed, but also feeling guilty about his blessings. He spoke about the responsibility he felt to represent Jacksonville and to honor the memory of his friends who didn't make it. The pressure was immense, and it was clear that success hadn't healed all his wounds. 2 weeks before his death, he gave an interview that now sounds like a warning sign we all missed. He said, "You'll be proud of me, OG. Woke up, read me a Bible verse, got some breakfast in my system, talked to God about it. I got one more album, EP, mixtape, whatever it's gonna be, I got one more, and it's over. I'm gonna find my peace." At the time, fans thought he was talking about taking a break from music or maybe retiring early to focus on his health. Nobody realized he was talking about something much more final. The phrase, "find my peace," hits different now, knowing what we know.
You'll be proud of me, OG. Woke up, read me a Bible verse, got some breakfast in my system, talked to God about it. You know what I'm saying? And he laid it on me. I got one more album, EP, mixtape, whichever one it's gonna be, I got one more. And it's over, I'm going to find my peace.
On February 13th, 2026, Poppa released what would be his final single, Out of Town Bay. The song was classic Poppa, melodic, emotional, and authentic. Fans were excited, thinking it was the beginning of another album rollout. Nobody knew it was actually a goodbye. 5 days later, he was gone, leaving behind a legacy that was still being written. February 18th, 2026 started like any other day for Lil Poppa, but it would end in tragedy that shook the entire hip-hop community. According to Hapeville Chief of Police Bruce Headley, Poppa was involved in a single-car accident on Interstate 85 south of Hapeville, Georgia. The details of the accident weren't immediately clear, but the car was still drivable after the incident. When Poppa called his manager asking what to do about the accident, he was advised to meet him in the parking lot near the Hilton Hotel to assess the damage and figure out next steps. This seemed like a routine situation. Car accidents happen, insurance gets involved, life goes on. But something went terribly wrong between that phone call and the planned meeting. At 11:23 a.m. Eastern Time, Lil Poppa was pronounced dead from a gunshot wound to the head.
Across the U.S. are mourning the loss of a Jacksonville rapper. That's our top story tonight. Thank you for staying up with us. I'm Anthony Austin.
I'm Heather Crawford. Lil Poppa, born Janarius Wheeler, has died at the age of 25.
The Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office conducted an autopsy on February 19th and confirmed what everyone feared, but nobody wanted to believe. It was suicide.
Lil Poppa was more than just a rapper. He was a hometown dream turned reality. At just 25 years old, he built a powerful voice for himself in the music industry. Now, as friends, family, and fans try to process his sudden loss, those who grew up beside him say that he was bigger than just music.
The same young man who had survived a drive-by shooting that killed his friends, who had overcome poverty and health challenges to build a successful career, had taken his own life in a hotel parking lot. The timing makes it even more heartbreaking. Almost 24 hours before news of his death broke, Poppa had shared an Instagram story of himself riding in a car while listening to Rod Wave's Letting It Go. The specific lyrics he posted were haunting in retrospect. You know what happened, I know what happened / world never will. It was like he was trying to tell us something without saying it directly, leaving clues for people who cared enough to pay attention. In another Instagram story from around the same time, he mentioned he was trying to find peace of mind. Looking back, all the signs were there, but sometimes we don't see them until it's too late, or we see them and don't know how to help. The hip-hop community was absolutely shook when the news broke. Social media exploded with tributes, disbelief, and questions about how we could have prevented this tragedy. Here was a young man who had survived the streets, made it out of Jacksonville, signed to one of the biggest labels in the game, and was building a successful career that was inspiring other young artists. But the trauma from 2018, the constant pain from sickle cell anemia, and the mental health struggles that he rapped about so honestly had become too much to bear. Yo Gotti, who had invested so much in Poppa's career and believed in his potential, was reportedly devastated by the loss. While he hasn't spoken publicly about it yet, sources close to CMG say Gotti is taking this extremely hard. He saw Poppa as more than just an artist. He was family, a young man with unlimited potential who represented everything CMG stood for. The tragedy immediately sparked conversations about mental health in hip-hop that had been long overdue. Fans started sharing their own struggles with depression and suicidal thoughts, crediting Poppa's music with helping them through dark times. The irony was painful. An artist whose music had saved so many lives couldn't save his own. Other artists began speaking out about the pressure of the industry, the weight of carrying trauma while trying to entertain people, and the importance of checking on your friends and colleagues. The conversation expanded beyond hip-hop to include discussions about sickle cell anemia, chronic pain, and how physical health issues can exacerbate mental health struggles. Jacksonville held vigils and memorial services celebrating Poppa's life and impact on the city. Fans gathered at locations that were significant to his story, sharing memories and playing his music. The outpouring of love showed just how much he meant to people who had never met him but felt connected to his story and his pain. The investigation into his death was thorough but straightforward. There was no foul play, no conspiracy, no external factors that could be blamed. It was simply a young man who had been fighting battles that nobody fully understood, who had reached a point where the pain became unbearable. His final single, Out of Town Bay, took on new meaning after his death. Fans analyzed every lyric looking for clues, trying to understand his mindset in those final days. The song became both a celebration of his talent and a heartbreaking reminder of what we lost. The music industry began implementing new protocols for supporting artists' mental health, with labels like CMG reportedly investing in counseling services and mental health resources for their roster. It was progress, but it came too late for Poppa. Yo Gotti's silence in the immediate aftermath spoke volume. This wasn't just a business loss for CMG, it was personal. Gotti had seen something special in Poppa, had invested time and resources in his development, and had welcomed him into the CMG family. The loss hit him hard, and when he finally speaks out, it's going to be emotional and authentic. The broader impact on hip-hop culture was significant. Poppa's death forced the industry to confront uncomfortable truths about how we treat mental health, how we support artists dealing with trauma, and how success doesn't automatically heal old wounds. His legacy became bigger than his music. It became a call to action for better mental health support in our communities. Today, Lil Poppas' music continues to reach new listeners who connect with his authenticity and vulnerability. His streaming numbers have actually increased since his death as people discover his catalog and find comfort in his words. Songs like Purple Hearts and Eternal Living have become anthems for people dealing with their own trauma and loss. The tragedy highlights something we don't talk about enough in hip-hop: mental health and the weight of survival. Poppa built his career on pain rap, using his music as therapy to deal with trauma and loss. But sometimes music isn't enough. Sometimes the pain is too deep, the guilt too heavy, and the weight of survival becomes too much to carry alone. His story shows us that behind every pain rap song is a real person dealing with real trauma, real health issues, and real mental health struggles. While his music will live on forever and continue to help people going through similar situations, we lost a young king who had so much more to give to the world. Lil Poppa's legacy isn't just his music, it's a reminder that success doesn't heal all wounds, that making it out of the hood doesn't automatically fix the trauma you experienced getting there, and that we need to do better at supporting our artists' mental health, not just their careers. We need to check on our people, have real conversations about mental health, and create support systems that go beyond just making money. Rest in peace, Lil Poppa. Your pain is over now, and your music will continue to heal others who are going through what you went through. That's the real story behind Yo Gotti's silence and why this loss hit the hip-hop community so hard. Sometimes the strongest people are fighting the biggest battles, and we don't know until it's too late. Let's keep Poppa's memory alive by supporting mental health awareness and checking on our people, for real. When Yo Gotti finally speaks out about this loss, it's going to be powerful, emotional, and hopefully it will inspire more conversations about how we can better support the artists and people we care about. Until then, we keep Poppa's music alive and his message of authenticity and vulnerability at the forefront of everything we do.